Burke's on his feet. He looks up and gives me a grin and says,
"Hey dude, you too must be from Marin."
Marin County's A-OK, from Tam to Stinson all the way to MA. Fresh organic veggies in the market every day. Lieutenants Dylan and NW.
Welcome to the Run TMC podcast. That is the Run, the Marin County podcast, a podcast about basketball based in gorgeous Marin County, California, where I am right now. I am Duffy Ballard. This is season 3, episode 16. We'd like to thank our sponsors, The Hub in San Anselmo, Batiste Rum, The Social Club, that is the Social Club with a K, L-U-B, the Nike San Domenico camps in the summertime, and Encore Custom. So in this episode, today is February 16th. Yesterday was February 15th. That was Selection Sunday, the big day where the brackets for the North Coast section, as well as the other sections in California, get released. Tom Poser, Eric Albin, Katie Levine, David Levine, and KK all gathered at the lodge for Selection Sunday, just like we did last year. And I, unfortunately, was a little bit late in arriving. I had to work, and the brackets got released a little earlier than expected. But we still had a good time poring over the brackets and looking at possible paths forward to the statewide competition. And so we're going to get into all of that in this episode. This is a very Marin-centric episode, Dave. But first, why don't I pass it over to my co-host and friend, David Levine, to take us back in time 1 week for the league playoffs, both the MCAL playoffs and the BCL playoffs. All right, take it away, Dave.
Thank you, Duff. Nice work. Hello, everybody. Very fun time of year. Love postseason, NCS time. And yes, it was a nice recapturing of the moment from a year ago when we were at the lodge, not a sponsor, in kind of the border between San Anselmo and Fairfax. And actually, KK, Caden Korst, who last year was the head coach of Marin Catholic, we were sitting with her when the brackets came out. And obviously, Marin Catholic went on to win the state title. So this year, KK requested the same crew of people sitting at the same booth. In fact, we even wore the same sweatshirts. A little creepy, but I'm sure we had washed them in the intervening year. So it was a nice little full circle moment. And as the brackets came out and we were vigorously refreshing our laptops, and then we dived in and poured through the brackets. So very fun. We'll get to that. But first, Duffy, because I'm so responsive and coachable to you. Playoff update. Some awesome games in the MCAL and the BCL playoffs last week with champions crowned. Let's start with the MCAL. Duffy, I think you're aware of this, but the Marin Catholic boys won the MCAL title in convincing fashion. They beat Branson by 20 in the MCAL final at a packed Redwood gym. Very fun environment. Just a classic Marin Catholic game. You guys play, as I said, I say it a lot, but you play with pace. You push, you press, you push the ball gets out of the net when the other team scores, and it seems like it's a second and a half to 2 seconds, and you're already down scoring on the other end. And Branson, obviously led by the incredible NJ Gray. NJ had 30 in that game, but MC was just too much. Waves of players coming in. Often, Kevin, you and Kevin and Chris are sending in 3 to 5 players every time at the scorer's table, seemingly every minute or two. And so the depth of Marin Catholic was just too much. So congratulations to MC on a fantastic MCAL title, and congrats to Branson on making it there. Branson beat Archie Williams in the semifinal game in a really good game, and MC beat Redwood also in a very good semifinal game. So as we talked about all year, the boys' side in particular, just so much parity in the league, so many really good teams. And it's cool to see, I believe 7 of the 9 MCAL boys teams made it to North Coast section, which is fantastic. So San Marin made it, TAM with our buddy Tim Morgan, obviously San Marin led by Chris Labdiotis, Santa Fe High, Colin Hamilton, just on our most recent roundtable, led Santa Fe High. They all are going to be playing this week in the NCS. So very cool. On the girls' side of the MCAL, not a surprise. Redwood, the class of the league, went undefeated through the regular season, had a couple close ones. San Marin almost got them in the regular season, of great game. But Redwood then made quick work of my Branson, KK's and my Branson team in the semifinals, beat us by a number that's more than 48 and less than 51, I think. And Marin Catholic and San Marin played in a great game, and Marin Catholic, under first-year coach Rachel Yarnold, beat San Marin in the semifinal to go to the finals, but Redwood was just too much. Redwood won by 26 in the final game, and their size and depth, just too much for MC. But a great season for MC, and obviously they will be certainly participating in the NCS and will make some noise because they're really good. And Redwood, just phenomenal all year. On the doorstep of being an open team, ended up getting, I think, the number 1 seed in Division 1, which we'll get to. So congrats to the Redwood team, Zach Borello and squad. Job well done. Over in the Bay Counties League, the playoffs were back at Kezar Pavilion this year. After last year, they were at Marin Academy, actually. And a little bit of a surprise here on the girls' side. University did not win the title. Lick Wilmerding beat University in the finals. Lick has a really good team. When I was at San Domenico the last couple of years, we were obviously played Lick multiple times during the regular season and in the playoffs, and you could just see they were building a program. And they had these young players who were really good, but were young, and now they're turning into, sophomores, juniors, seniors, and Lick is fantastic. And they beat University in the finals. On the boys' side, University boys, Randy Beslow, once again, a title. They beat Lick as well. So University boys win the BCL title, but the BCL was really good. And we have several BCL teams that will be playing in the NCS, including boys and girls teams from San Domenico, boys and girls teams from Urban, and boys and girls teams from Marin Academy. So a great season in the BCL. All right, Duff, that's the quick update on the league playoff picture. And again, congrats to the title winners. And now back to you. Take us where you would like to take us. Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Thank you, Dave. Excellent recap. Yes, that was a really fun week last week. Really, Dave. Really, really fun. A lot of great energy at the games that I was at. Students were out there, in force, color coordinated. They had their chance together, sold out games, and the atmosphere just is really hard to beat. Even when you go into, the postseason, get into the NCS and potentially beyond, you don't get quite the crowd feel as you do during the MCAL playoffs, in particular the final at Redwood, packed gym, student sections chanting back and forth at each other during the game. I really thought the SAT chant from the Branson section was off the hook clever. And then just cool on sort of a personal level to see a couple seniors who had worked so hard this year for Marin Catholic, Dylan Deach and Quinn Myers, who had been in a lot of games early on and then were out of the rotation because of the depth of the teams. They got a chance to check in at the end of the game, and the MC crowd just went berserk as they checked in on the MC side of the floor. So very cool moment, and happy for the MC kids who really put a lot of work and connected with each other during this year, and they kind of put it all together in that final against a really tough Branson team and an incredible performer in NJ, who essentially went against a double team the entire game and scored 30. It was a double team that double teamed him in the backcourt and then also essentially in the front court as well. And still scored 30. So kudos to him. Great kid, great player. So, Dave, we're going to get into some NCS preview. We have a couple guests who are providing us some content because we had to get this together pretty quickly. And as you know, Dave, I've been working a bunch in the ER over the last couple of days because all my colleagues are off skiing for ski week. So we basketball people, we have to forego those pleasures of life as we stick it out in a storm and get ready for some basketball this week. But before we get into the guests, we want to mention exciting news that we have a new Run TMC Season 3 store that has opened up. This one is a single item. You have it in men's and women's, and it is a black shirt with the yellow/gold, yellow goldish Run TMC logo as on our prior shirts. And it is a Vortex fabric that is a little stretchier than your normal tri-blend. But if you're familiar with our Season 1 shirts, it's very similar fabric. It's very soft, a little bit stretchy, and it's super comfortable. And the black is going to be sublimated, so that's going to make it weather just a little bit. It's going to be kind of like a charcoal gray. So these are going to be cool. You can go on to the show notes and see the link in the show notes and get your order in. The store will be open for roughly 3 weeks. So we'll remind people, but get your order in ASAP for March Madness. So thank you to Encore Custom and Neil Butterfield and our buddy Leo, who helps put together the Encore pop-up store. So go visit that right now. And then come back because we have Ethan Castle, friend of the podcast, Ethan Castle, who is an expert on high school sports across the Bay Area. And we brought him on to give us a preview of the open divisions for NCS. And he's got a little bonus commentary on D1 and D2 on the boys' side. So thank you, Ethan, and take it away. And then we're back to you, Dave.
Hey guys, it's Ethan Castle checking in ahead of the playoffs. You may have seen me at some games this year. I was the PA announcer for the Bambauer Classic. Among other things, I regularly write at Bay Preps Insider. That is my own Substack website. You can find all sorts of high school sports coverage there, especially focused on, but not limited to, basketball. And I'm here today to talk about the upcoming playoffs, especially focusing in on the NCS Open Division. So first off, I think they largely got it right this year. I wish there was more subjectivity by a committee than reliance on Max Preps rankings. I could go on about that at some other time on how to build a better system. But I think we largely have the correct 6 teams this year. And I think it's really cool that it's not just an EBAL party this year and that it's kind of a representation of the entire NCS. We've got teams across 5 different leagues, looks like, this year. The only one with a repeat entrant is the EBAL, and it's just 2 teams, which I think is correct this year. Like, the EBAL remains the best league in the North Coast section. That is factually true. But it wasn't so much that it was top-heavy this year. It's that it was so deep. I mean, there were 9 quality teams in the EBAL, one of which didn't even make the playoffs. That's SRV, and they were ranked within the top 25 in the section. Had they made it in, they probably would have been right around like a low D1 seed. So the top 2 EBAL teams are in. That's Doherty Valley and De La Salle. And then the next 6 are all in Division 1. But there was no one dominant EBAL team this year, and I had said for a while that Clayton Valley was probably better than the entire EBAL, and sure enough, Clayton Valley is the 2 seed behind number 1 and overwhelming favorite Salesian. You know, if you were like setting odds, I would think the return for Salesian versus the field would probably lean, you'd be making back less than you'd put in if you were betting on Salesian. Now, don't bet on high school sports, obviously. Like, this is all just a hypothetical, figure of speech to express how heavily favored they are. Like, they are really good. But so is Clayton Valley. I think they don't get anywhere near enough credit because their league was down this year. But considering that they only lost to SI by 2, they've got some really solid wins against the likes of Kings Academy and Menlo Atherton. They play really, really good defense. I believe Acalanes in their league championship game was the first team this calendar year. Or no. Okay, first team since January 10th, as I look at their schedule, to get into the 50s on them, which tells you the type of game Clayton Valley plays. It's not just that they take the air out of the ball. It's that their defense is so good that it ends up being a low possession game. Like, they are a good offensive team, too, and they've got a lot of length, a lot of size. Vince Ellis is going to Dominican next year, and he's finally been on the court. He's been healthier. And then you've got Zion Grissom, who's one of the best juniors in Northern California, and a super underrated player in Cannon Simpson. And they will have a chance if they were to get to the final, which is no sure thing. Again, though, Salesian is the team to beat. They are so thorough defensively. They're so physical. They can all shoot. Elias Obenya is one of the top players in Northern California. And I think their depth is what really sticks out to me once again. Their first guy off the bench would be the top player on most teams. And they've got some quietly really good shooters that you just don't get to see a lot of because usually they're forcing turnovers and getting in transition. Now, as for the other four teams, Marin Catholic versus Doherty Valley is a super spicy matchup that could definitely be played in the 70s, if not towards the 80s. It's going to be a pain to write about because it's Wildcats versus Wildcats. Kind of like the Simpsons clip, if anyone's old enough to follow that. But I think these teams kind of match each other's strengths pretty well in terms of depth, in terms of playing smaller, in terms of shooting. But Doherty does have some role players that come off the bench and provide important stuff, like Wyatt Swan. When I went back and watched their EBAL semifinal against Amador, he had some really important minutes, some big-time defense. This is a team with a lot of really quality guards. Rylan Sevilla, the latest in a really talented family. You might remember Connor Sevilla was teammates with Ryan Beasley. He's now playing up at UC Davis. Rashad Cotton's had a great year. Alonzo Walker's one of the best sophomores in a really good NorCal sophomore class. These guys are good, and they're playing their best right now. Their one weakness has been defending the post, and that's something that they figured out much better as the year went on, really starting with that loss to Granada. That was the last time they got exploited. Then they beat Monte Vista, who has a 6'10" kid in the middle, and since then, they only have one weird rivalry loss to Dublin where they just didn't play very well offensively. And the other game, De La Salle and Marin Catholic, I think is really interesting because De La Salle is kind of somewhat senior heavy, but not like they've got a ton of experience. If you line up De La Salle and Marin against each other, frankly, if you line up De La Salle against the other 5 teams in the NCS Open Division, and you did like a schoolyard pick'em, De La Salle's guys would be towards the bottom of the pecking order. Their success this year is a testament to them playing within their system, defending really hard, taking smart shots, cycling the ball well. I mean, they do have some quality players. David Pachulia gets a ton of attention because he's big, he can shoot, and his dad played in the NBA. But he's not the only one. I really like Mariano Lopez Arden in the post, and then Olanre Owo Barode, who transferred in from Heritage, has done really well. But he and Lopez Arden and any of the other bigs are going to have their hands full with Moreau's 6'10" sophomore Brendan Williams. Again, this NorCal sophomore class is just tremendous. And then Isaiah Clendenin, point guard for Moreau, believe he's a junior. He's been very good all year. Head coach Frank Knight says he's an even better baseball player. And then they've also got a really good freshman in Isaiah Dotson and a really quality sophomore guard in Sebastian Atako. This team is super young, Moreau. They've only got 5 seniors, and only a couple of them really see the court much. So this could be just the beginning for them, assuming they can keep this core together. On the girls' side, I haven't seen enough of the teams to give you a ton of analysis, but what I can tell you is that SRV team shoots the heck out of the ball. It is clinical to watch their movement and just watch them knock down threes. It's similar to watching the St. Ignatius boys when they get going. I have never seen a girls' team play with the efficiency that SRV does. To get a sense of how dominant they are this year, they lost to St. Mary Stockton by 5. They lost to Mission Hills by 1. And they lost to Bishop McNamara out of Maryland by 11. Those are their only losses. Carondelet is the 2 seed. They beat Carondelet by 10 on the road and then by 21 at home in the league tournament. They have a 55-point win over a darn good Redwood team. So I would be even more surprised if someone upsets them than I would be if someone upsets the Salesian boys. Though the other games in the bracket should be good, especially that O'Dowd-Clayton Valley game. Clayton Valley survived a pretty tough DAL, beat up Acalanes in the league championship, and Acalanes' girls team is always solid. So plenty of fun basketball to be had. But I think it would be hard to go with any upsets at the top. You expect the 1 seeds to win the NCS Open Division. I think the most unpredictable bracket is the Division I boys. I mean, you could make a case for like 10 different teams to win this thing. I don't think I've ever seen such a deep field. There will be teams that have a legit shot to win this that will be eliminated Tuesday night. I'm leaning maybe Dublin or Granada, maybe Amador. O'Dowd had a couple of these weird games where they just can't put the ball in the hoop, so I don't know if they can string together the 4 games they need to. If Monte Vista could get through a game at Granada, assuming Granada doesn't slip up against Campo, because Granada's a real tough place to play. If Monte Vista gets through that, they could win this thing. They're really fundamentally sound. My other hot take for you is Division II on the boys' side. I don't think Cardinal Newman is quite what their record says. I think most likely the 2 best teams out of the bottom side of that bracket are St. Mary's, now that they're getting healthy, and San Lorenzo. You look at their results, they have a big-time transfer in Ronnie Solis, who came over from Salesian. And ever since he got eligible, right around Christmas, you see the change in their results. So they're a really dangerous team. They have one weird loss to Tennyson, but other than that, they've been playing great basketball lately. So watch out for San Lorenzo. They could honestly beat Cardinal Newman in the second round. University does look like the team to beat on the top end. But yeah, in that lower half, St. Mary's with their size and length, and then Ronnie Solis is averaging 25 points a game for San Lorenzo. Watch out for him. This D2 bracket should be pretty interesting, although maybe the final won't be as chaotic as that game last year. I think that's a high bar to clear. But plenty of good basketball ahead on all sides of every bridge. I'm going to be at the SI Reardon game tonight, and I hope to see you guys at some NCS games. Hopefully you guys are able to make it down my way for some CCS action as well. And hopefully we'll all get together again in the state tournament.
Awesome work, Ethan. Thanks, as always, for stepping up whenever we ask you to. You are the man. Ethan is a fixture around high school sports in the county, in the Bay Area overall, writ large. He's actually, as he mentioned, he's more of a CCS guy. But it's always fun to catch up with him at the Bambauer. He and his brother are ever present and just huge high school basketball, high school sports enthusiasts and supporters. And we love Ethan. So thank you. And very interesting insights. Always good to get the perspective on the broader Bay Area. And yeah, it's not every year that we get Marin teams in the Open. So it's just so cool that Marin Catholic is right in the mix there, the 3 seed in the Open. But we'll get to that. But first, another high school sports enthusiast, our good friend Jeff Spalding. Jeff is a parent. He's a parent of Kate Spalding, a awesome player on the Branson team. Jeff is humble. He also himself was quite a player back in the day. In fact, I believe Jeff played against Kevin Vasquez in high school. I don't know if Kevin remembers Jeff, but Jeff certainly remembers Kevin. But Jeff can play. We went to college together at Stanford. He's a phenomenal athlete himself, and just as you will see, and I mean this in the best way, Jeff, a massive nerd when it comes to NCS brackets and overall sports analytics. So having Jeff on your side and on your parent roster is awesome because he's just does whatever you need him to do. But this was a great deep dive into NCS brackets, and leading up to Selection Sunday a couple days ago, Jeff was texting me and KK all the time with updates on the brackets. He's kind of put together his own algorithm and analysis, and obviously AI is helping him. But he's an interesting guy to talk to about the movements within the brackets. There's a lot of controversy about the NCS system and does it work or not? Does it make sense? And Jeff, I thought, did a great job of weeding through all of the different idiosyncrasies to come up with a pretty good estimate on the brackets. And he's got good perspective on this because he's been tracking it. So enjoyed hearing Jeff's thoughts. We just asked him to cook a little bit and he did. So let's hear from Jeff first, and then we'll quickly break down the Marin teams who are advancing in the NCS. We'll get to that in a minute. Take it away, Jeff.
Hey, Dave and Duffy. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to the Run TMC community and reveal what a NCS bracket nerd I am. So by way of introduction, I'm Jeff Spalding. My daughter Kate is a sophomore on the Branson girls varsity basketball team. And I guess I would just say that I've always been a huge fan of brackets for years. Back in the days when I used to play basketball and CYO, and just looking at brackets has always been something I enjoy. But the NCS playoff brackets are kind of a whole new level, and that's definitely become a favorite activity for the past 2 years, starting in late January through mid-February, and NCS Bracket Sunday. So yeah, I started trying to predict the brackets last year and kind of had a basic setup in a spreadsheet. This year I used a few AI prompts to build some formulas that ultimately let me visualize the seeds in kind of near real time. Obviously, there's still a fair amount of manual work involved, but it allowed me to share kind of a more visually pleasing and clear way to see kind of how the seeds and possible matchups were lining up, which just kind of, I don't know, for me makes it kind of fun to kind of do that leading into the season, or leading toward the end of the season. I even went as far as color coding the Marin team so I could see so we could all see where they were slotted in the playoff brackets. So as the home stretch of the MCAL season approached, I wanted to see if I could more accurately predict the results than I did last year. And based on where the Branson girls stood in early February, it was clear that we were looking at either a low seed in D3 or a high seed in D4, which, just kind of turned up or just made it a little more interesting with the twists and turns of the late season. And as it turned out, there weren't enough teams to fully fill out each of the Division 1 to Division 5 playoff brackets. And ultimately, Branson ended up as a high D4 seed. So during that 2-week period, there were lots of twists and turns. And, that's the kind of stuff I enjoy tracking and sharing with others. So a few interesting aspects of the bracket. So one I'll start with is just that I've learned over the past couple of years is that the Max Preps rankings really dictate the initial results. And when the committee gets together to review the brackets, the only manual intervention they make is what they call, I guess, or what has been called the head-to-head swap, which is where if two teams are next to each other in the rankings, the team that won the season series will get the better seed. So there are a few instances that I noted this year that I'll just share somewhat briefly. On the boys' side, Marin Catholic was ranked as the number 4 team in NCS, which means they are going to play in the open division, which is a major accomplishment. Kudos to the Marin Catholic boys and Duffy in particular. But due to Marin Catholic's 64-60 win, if I'm remembering the score correctly, versus De La Salle early in the season, MC moved ahead of De La Salle to take over the 3rd seed slot, which is slightly better. They will get to host Doherty Valley on the Thursday at 7 p.m., which should be an awesome game. On the girls' side, there was an interesting head-to-head swap where in San Francisco, Lick Wilmerding, coming off a solid BCL West championship win versus their rival University High School, Lick Wilmerding shot up the rankings to 18th overall. And because Lick Wilmerding is a D4 school, the highest playoff division they can reach is D2. Meanwhile, UHS similarly can only go as high as D2 unless they had made the open, which they didn't. But they were sitting in 26th place, so eight spots behind Lick Wilmerding, and actually 3.5 rating points behind them. But because UHS had won the season series 2-1, and because they were also only able to play in D2, while all the teams were ranked between them, so 19th to 25th were headed to the D1 playoff bracket, UHS actually jumped ahead of Lick Wilmerding. But as the 4 and 5 seeds respectively, they actually have a chance of facing off if both of them win their first round games for the 4th. They'd be playing each other for the 4th time this season, which would certainly be a fun thing to see. And then one other interesting scenario is when multiple teams are impacted in that head-to-head swap scenario. So one example for that this year in the girls' Division IV playoff bracket, Marin Academy was initially slotted as the 7th seed, one spot ahead of St. Patrick St. Vincent, who had beaten MA in a close game earlier this season. However, Northgate was seeded 6th, and they had beaten the 5th seed Santa Rosa, so those two schools swapped. But then MA had actually beaten Santa Rosa and also another close game. So those two teams swapped spots before St. Patrick St. Vincent could even get involved. So what ended up happening is that MA went from possibly dropping to an 8th seed to actually sliding as the 6th seed. And then Santa Rosa, who was originally the 5th seed, dropped down to the 7th seed. So just some interesting kind of moves in the brackets that, again, those little things are kind of things I geek out on. So another interesting aspect is that after, playing 20 to 28 games, teams can often be separated by a few hundredths of a rating point. So again, bringing up university, high school, so UHS, their boys team, they've, obviously built a perennial contender. And this year, they just missed out on making the open division, and they missed out by 6/100ths of a point behind Doherty Valley. And so they'll be the 1 seed in Division II. That will still be a great experience, but I'm sure there are a few UHS fans who wish they had made the open division. And selfishly, I would have loved to see another Marin Catholic UHS rematch after their crazy, I think it's a Bambauer Classic matchup back in December that ended in a 96-95 victory for MC. Let's see. And even if a team isn't playing on the final weekend, it's also the ratings can move up or down, usually only by a few hundredths of a point, but sometimes they can move dramatically. There's one team that actually jumped up a full point on the girls' side, which was kind of crazy. And they didn't even play. And it's just based off of how their prior opponents do in like their league title games. And then one final nuance I'll just share, and I know I've been going for a while here, so I may be boring everyone here, but one final nuance that makes for a little more drama is that all league champions are granted home court in the first round as long as they aren't playing another league champion. So one example is that the Marin Catholic girls earned the 7 seed in the D2 bracket with a strong run through the MCAL season and playoffs. However, they are matched up with the 10 seed Ukiah, who won their league title. And so the Battle of the Wildcats will take place at Ukiah instead of at MC. So that's just a handful of different things that catch my eye when I'm going through these brackets. And, my big hope next year is to leverage AI a little bit more to make it a little bit more automated. It's still fairly manual right now, but I know you guys have talked about technology on the show, and yeah, I'm trying to leverage it here and there to just make that a little easier and whatever. It's just a way that I like to enjoy the season at another level. So thanks for the podcast and giving me the opportunity to share this, and hope it was interesting or educational for some. Thanks.
All right, Duff, let's get into the brackets. I can't match the nerdiness or analytical heft of Ethan or Jeff, but I will do my level best here. We'll just obviously focus on the Marin teams that are advancing and still playing in NCS. And why don't we start in the open division? It's not every day that we see a Marin team in the open division, but here they are. Marin Catholic boys. Kevin Vasquez did it in his first season as head coach, despite some questionable assistant coaching from a character named Duffy Ballard. The MC boys obviously won the MCAL in great fashion, and you guys haven't snuck into the open. You're firmly there. You are the 3 seed, so the top end of the bracket. MC will host perennial open team Doherty Valley, 7:00 Thursday night at Marin Catholic. I hope that gym will be packed. It should be. It's going to be a phenomenal game. Doherty Valley is always good. Mike Hansen, head coach, has been there for years. A lot of college players have gone through Doherty Valley. If MC can win that one, they will play at Clayton Valley next week. Reminder, for the open division, you are guaranteed a slot in the NorCals. So even if MC loses on Thursday, they will advance into the NorCal in some bracket. We're not sure which one, but a great accomplishment for the MC boys, and go Wildcats. On the Division 1 slate, the Redwood girls are the 1 seed. Huge congrats to Zach Borello and the Redwood team. Brooke Denler, Kitty White, Drew Schultz, Maddie Petersmeyer. Awesome team.
So they have a first round bye, and then they will play the winner of Doherty Valley and Maria Carrillo. Redwood, obviously, as the 1 seed in D1, you could do the math. They were essentially the first team on the outside looking into the Open. So the fact that they were in the mix for Open is, again, just a amazing accomplishment, and hope Redwood can keep it going and take this deep into the state playoffs. So good luck to the Giants. Also in the Division I bracket, also a phenomenal team, San Marin, with our good friend Tony Butler as head coach. San Marin got the 13 seed, so they got to hit the road tonight, Tuesday, and play at Acalanes at 7 o'clock. A tough draw for Tony and San Marin. San Marin's had such a good year, as we've talked about. They were 1 possession away from upsetting Redwood in the regular season, an amazing game. They played a really tough schedule. Tony does as good a job as anybody in the county at coaching up his squad. And this is, again, one of the weird aspects of the way the brackets work. You know, if San Marin maybe had 1 or 2 losses more, maybe instead of being the 13 seed in D1, they're the 1 or 2 seed in D2, and they've got home games and maybe a clearer path to the playoffs. But Tony's going to get his team fired up to play whoever they got, and they'll get on the road to face Acalanes on Tuesday. So good luck to San Marin. Okay, on the Division I boys side, Archie Williams is the 8th seed. So Mikey Claggett and his squad will host Acalanes. That's the 3rd time that they've played Acalanes this year. That's also Tuesday night on February 17th at 7 o'clock. If Archie can get by Acalanes, they will play the winner of 1 seed Bishop O'Dowd versus 16 seed Windsor. So good luck to Mikey, Chad Stewart, friend of the pod, an awesome team, Grady Stewart, Neezy Butler, Brian Wright, and everybody. Holden Ballard on the squad. Really root for Archie. Love the way they play, and think they're going to make a lot of noise here in the playoffs. Also in the Division I bracket, Redwood, the boys, are the 15 seed. So they've got to travel to 2 seed Amador Valley in Pleasanton. That's a tough draw for them. Amador's really good. Also Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. If Redwood can get by Amador, they will play the winner of California and Livermore. As the 15 seed, Redwood's going to be road warriors in the NCS here. So if they can survive in advance, it's going to be all road games for them, but that's okay. They're used to it. And good luck to Jake Post and the squad. Always rooting for Redwood. Division II, no Marin teams on the Division II boys side, but I will quick shout out to some BCL teams. University is the 1 seed. University was very close to being an open division team, as Jeff Spalding mentioned. Lick is the 9 seed and Urban is the 13 seed. So no MCAL, but heavy BCL representation in D2 also reflects how good the BCL was this year, as we've talked about. On the girls' side, Marin Catholic is the 7 seed in Division II, but as Jeff Spalding mentioned, kind of unfortunate for MC, but they play Ukiah, who's the 10 seed, but because Ukiah won their league, Ukiah is guaranteed a home game. So MC, despite being the higher seed, has to go on the road, drive very far up 101 to Ukiah to play them on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. Rachel Yarnold and the squad will be very dangerous. They're a really good team. And as I've mentioned repeatedly, they're not afraid. You got Brooke Spagnolo, Cece Bernay, Simone Claxton, Neela Ryan, Bailey Baresh, Michaela Marston, all these kids. They all have state championship rings from last year. So they played in big moments, and they've gotten big wins, and they'll be a dangerous team in the postseason. University girls are also in this bracket as the 4 seed, and then also of interest, Lick is the 5 seed, and Justin Sienna, who MC played a couple times last year in the NCS and NorCals, is the 3 seed. D3 girls, Archie Williams. Coach Ed Wiltz in his first year has taken Archie into the D3 NCS. They are the 12 seed. They travel to play St. Mary's of Albany. My Branson team actually played St. Mary's earlier this year, and we lost to them. They're a very good team. That'll be an awesome matchup. 2 really, really solid squads with a lot of talent. And good luck to Ed Wiltz. They play Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. Boys, Branson is the number 1 seed in D3. They host Napa at College of Marin on Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. Branson obviously has had a great year with a tough schedule. They're looking good for a D3 run. San Domenico, Tyler Gaffney, they're the 4 seed. They host Mount Eden. MA is the 9 seed. They play at College Prep. So we could see a Branson MA second round battle, which will be fun. And then San Rafael, Colin Hamilton is the 10 seed. They play at Bentley. If they can win that one, they play at Cornerstone Christian, who is really good. They have a very, very good kind of Division I level player, and they're a very solid 2 seed. So good luck to those squads. Division 4, Chris Labdiotis and San Marin got the 1 seed. So San Marin has home games throughout for the NCS. They host Arroyo on Wednesday. And then Tim Morgan, TAM, got the 13 seed in D4. They play at Mission San Jose on Wednesday. So good luck to San Marin and TAM. Division 4 girls, Branson, we got the 2 seed. We host Hayward at Branson, not calm, on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. Marin Academy is the 6 seed. They host Pioneer on Wednesday night. So wish us luck. And then in D5, on the girls' side, San Domenico got the 6 seed. But again, due to, I assume, Redwood Christian winning their league, San Domenico, even though they're the higher seed, travels to play at Redwood Christian on Wednesday night. So that's a summary. I tried to be quick, but, a lot of teams. Congratulations to all of the squads who have made it this far. Good luck this week. Stay tuned. And as always, even though it's raining and cold, go out, support local hoops, go watch your local team play in their NCS games. These first couple games are win or go home. Here we go.
We are sponsored by Encore Custom. From the field to the gym and everywhere in between, Encore Custom designs high-performance team apparel built for athletes, coaches, and active communities. Each piece is crafted with technical precision, modern fits, and customizable details that bring your team identity to life. Shop their ready-to-wear performance gear online or in-store, or create custom designs made exclusively for your team. Visit www.encorecustom.com or stop by their headquarters at 891 4th Street in San Rafael, California, to see where performance meets design. Thank you, Neil, and the Encore Custom team for your support. We love you.
And thank you to our newest sponsor, the Social Club. That is the Social KLUB, a modern indoor playground in Sausalito for kids aged 0 to 7. It is designed for play, exploration, and creativity. By day, it's a beautifully curated play space where kids can burn energy and parents can relax. That sounds great if you have little kids. And after hours, it transforms into a hub for adult classes, workshops, and events, bringing the same sense of community to grown-ups too. This is co-founded by Tessa White, who is a big fan and now a sponsor of the podcast. Thank you to Tessa. And you can find the Social Club at 2650 Bridgeway in Sausalito, California. The Social Club is also available for rental for parties. You pay the rent, then there is the party, and the rest is gravy. The Run TMC podcast is also sponsored by the Hub in San Anselmo. With plenty of parking and new Tesla charging stations at Red Hill Shopping Center, the Hub is the go-to burger spot where locals come to dine, drink, socialize, and sponsor Run TMC podcast roundtables. While their 100% grass-fed burgers are divine, the menu also features healthy salads made with local produce, vegetarian and vegan options, and the best crispy chicken sandwich in Marin. Amen to that. With 8 craft beers and ciders on tap, plus hand-spun milkshakes, there is something for everyone. Big thank you again to Jerry and Rebecca, to Jake and Dexter Beers, and all of the Hub staff that welcome us to the Hub for good food and good company and above average podcasting. Thank you again to the Hub.
We are sponsored by Batiste Rum. Thank you to our friend John Lawson for supporting us again. Batiste Rum is imported in bulk from the French Caribbean before proofing and bottling in Napa. It's made from 100% sugarcane juice, not molasses or syrups like other rums, so it's light and dry with a clean, not sweet taste, making it perfect for mixing your favorite cocktail. Its production process has been third-party verified as being carbon negative without relying on purchased offsets, so you know it's done right. Find Batiste Rum at fine local retailers like United, Nugget, Total Wine, Marin Beverage Outlet, and more, or ask for it. Check it out at Batiste Rum, that's BATISTERHUM.com. And please always drink responsibly. Thanks, John.
Burke's on his feet. He looks up and gives me a grin and says,
Hey, dude, you too must be from Marin.